Hey, well, welcome back to Room 237. This is John, here with another movie review, another Tim Burton review. After this, I will do the collection and discussion. Another one I watched recently, last night actually, so I figured I'd talk about it. I can't really see that very well with that goddamn light. Frankenweenie. Kind of a weird title, but this is a really fun movie. You know, Tim Burton has made some really awesome... I gotta do something about that light eventually. Tim Burton has made some really good movies, like good quality movies, throughout his career. But these stop-motion animation films are by far his best. This is the Tim Burton that I truly love, along with Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands and Batman. I saw this... I remember the first time I saw it... I don't remember the first time I saw it. Saw it a few... When did this come out? I think this was 2013? 12? 13? Yeah. Probably. I don't know. I guess I saw it sometime around there. And I liked it. And my girlfriend actually... Because when I was getting these Tim Burton movies, I asked if she'd seen Frankenweenie. She said no. And she's a huge dog lover. She's like one of the biggest dog lovers I've ever met. Or all animals. She loves all animals, especially dogs. So movies about dogs, especially pets, like that's the whole deal with the dogs. She really likes those movies, even if they're sad. And this movie's the perfect blend of both. I mean, this is a love letter to Universal horror films. Might not be widely recognized as that, but I think it is. And to anyone who's ever lost a dog, you know, I'm sure this movie could help them. Because, you know, I'm sure it's another thing Tim Burton... Well, actually, when Tim Burton was a kid, a young kid, like 13, he would make these stop-motion monster movies in his backyard. And one of the ones he made was Frankenweenie. I don't know if he actually had a dog that he was very close with that died and that inspired it, or if he just came up with the idea because he's a huge Universal Monster fan. And a lot of this is much inspired by Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. The original 1931 version. So it is about a boy that is sort of an allegory for Tim Burton. His name is Victor. Is that one there with the shovel? He's sort of like Tim Burton. He makes these stop-motion monster movies in his backyard. His parents want him to do more sports and be more involved. So he agrees to do baseball. They bring the dog with him, and he gets hit by a car. And the whole thing is, there's going to be a science fair coming up. He's obsessed with science. He gets the idea, well, because there's this new science teacher who is like a Tim Burton version of Vincent Price. Just imagine a clay version of Vincent Price. He's got a really long face. If there was a stop-motion claymation movie, it's Vincent Price. And he does this thing with electricity and a frog. So he thinks he can bring his dog back. And he does. And it becomes this whole thing. Like there's this other kid down here. His name is Edgar. Edgar E. Gore. So that's sort of why it's like a love story. Because you have all these characters. Victor Frankenstein. His last name is Frankenstein. You have Igor, who looks and acts like, yes. Which actually, Igor wasn't even in the original Frankenstein. He didn't come in until the Hammer films of the 50s. But, you know, his neighbor is this girl, who's voiced by Winona Ryder. Her name is Elsa, which the actress who played Bride of Frankenstein is Elsa... I can't remember her last name at the moment. That's actually my favorite monster movie, is Bride of Frankenstein. She actually has a dog that's like this little poodle. The dog and her dog, they like to roll a ball to each other at this hole in the fence. And when he comes back as Frankenweenie, her nose touches one of those bolts on his neck and she gets zapped. And she has this big hair with the white, like, stripes up it, like the bride. There's this other kid who has this flat top, and he's basically, you know, Frankenstein's monster. And he actually looks and talks like Boris Karloff. And I guess I should have waited till this movie. In my last video, which was Edward Scissorhands review, I talked about how I slipped up and I made a reference to Frankenstein and I called the monster Frankenstein. That's one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to movies, is when people call the monster Frankenstein. It's the monster, or Frankenstein's monster, or the creation. Sometimes even the abomination. So, my girlfriend knows better. She actually, when we were watching this together, she knows how much I love monster movies. She made a reference to Frankenstein, and she called him the monster, and I was just like, thank you for calling him the monster. She does every time, but I always have to thank her. Then there's this weird girl way down here who always has her cat. I don't know if she's supposed to be like that woman on Bride of Frankenstein, that old blonde lady who's, I don't know, that's what she's supposed to be. But anyway, all the kids find out that he did this, so then they all either bring back their dead pets or other animals. And there's this Japanese kid who brings back his pet turtle with lightning, but when he does, there's he does it in his backyard, and a miracle grow gets in it. So it's this giant turtle that's screeching like Godzilla and just stomping on shit all over the town. It picks the kid up. So it's carrying this Japanese kid. My girlfriend actually picked up on it before I did. She's like, oh, it's funny, the Japanese kid has the Godzilla monster. So that's why it's like a love letter. You know, it has all these references, and it's really fun. One thing I noticed, that Tim Burton movies never had to stoop to like toilet humor. Like in his animated movies, like for kids, he never had to do farts or anything like that. There is a weird part in the beginning where, like, when that girl's cat, when the cat's shit in the litter box is in the shape of the first letter of someone's name, she gives it to that person. It's like an omen. So you get a little bit of that, but that girl's fucking creepy. You know, her eyes are always huge. I could kind of live with it. And of course, you know, there's like her. It's kind of, this cover's kind of weird because she's holding her cat. You kind of can't see, but there's like a bat werecat thing up here. This cat turns into that at the end of the movie. And that thing grabs a hold of Winona Ryder's character, Elsa. So by then, everyone figures out that Victor brought his dog back. So everyone's chasing after the dog to a windmill, like at the end of Frankenstein. And then the windmill catches on fire. It really is like a good kids animated version of Frankenstein. And that's why this is, of all his animated films, other than Nightmare Before Christmas, this one is my favorite. Just for the references alone, I think it's very well done. I love the story. I mean, with a name like Frankenweenie, you think it would be kind of silly and stupid. But if you're an old school horror fan, like Universal days of horror, you are going to love it. I did. It's got, you know, or not just Universal days, like the Hammer films, like The Teacher That Looks Like Vincent Price. The kid's full name is Edgar Igor. The neighbor's name is Elsa, the Bride of Frankenstein actress. The plot is centered around Frankenstein. And Yeah, it's just a really fun, good movie. You can watch it around Halloween. It's a good horror type movie too. Oh, also there's this fat kid who has sea monkeys, and when he does the electricity and lightning, they kind of look like the swamp monsters from Nightmare Before Christmas, mixed with like Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, but yeah, that's just another example of how great it does of putting. If you want to know when horror was at all-time high, like from the 30s to the 50s, and have it be in this fun claymation and have it be directed by Tim Burton, what more could you want? Frankenweenie, fun movie. If you're a horror fan, especially of that era, you definitely got to see it. Definitely great. But that's all I got for Frankenweenie. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.